The Celestial Accord's flagship Eternal Dawn hung in the inky void of space, its crystalline spires gleaming under the light of distant stars. Admiral Zexlor stood on the command deck, his 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the primitive vessel that dared to approach his battle group. The human ship was nothing impressive. A utilitarian craft of dull metal plates and exposed engine pods that the Admiral's youngest could have designed better. Fascinating creatures, Scientific Officer Verma chirped, her antenna twitching with excitement. Their first ventures beyond their solar system, and they immediately head for the nearest inhabited world. Such audacity. Such foolishness, Zexlor corrected, mandibles clicking in annoyance. The Celestial Accord had ruled this sector for 10,000 cycles. These humans, barely space-capable, needed to learn their place in the cosmic hierarchy. "They're hailing us again, Admiral," Communications Officer Tyrell reported. "Very well. Let's educate these primitives." Zexlor straightened his ceremonial cape. "Open the channel." The holoscreen materialized, revealing the human female. Her dark skin contrasted sharply with the white uniform she wore, and her expression remained calm despite facing the most powerful species in the sector. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. We received no response to our previous hails. We come in peace and seek diplomatic contact." Zexlor's upper lip curled. "I am Admiral Zexlor of the Celestial Accord. You have entered restricted space without permission. Return to your system immediately, or face the consequences." Captain Chen's expression didn't waver. "Admiral, we've reviewed the Galactic Commons database. This sector is designated as open space under Treaty 47B. We have every right to be here." "Treaties signed by lesser races do not bind the Accord," Zexlor declared. "You have 10 minutes to retreat." "With respect, Admiral, we decline. We represent humanity's interests and will not be bullied out of neutral territory." Verma's antenna twitched faster. "Admiral, preliminary scans show their weapons are primitive, magnetic accelerators and chemical propellants. However, their shield technology is unusual." "Irrelevant." Zexlor waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Target their propulsion systems, a light touch to send them limping home." The Eternal Dawn's primary cannon charged, its crystal matrices humming with power. The beam lanced out, a perfect shot, only to scatter harmlessly against the Horizon's shields. "Impossible," Tyrell exclaimed. "Their barrier pattern. It's adapting." Captain Chen's voice came through again, still maddeningly calm. "Admiral, we've studied the Accord's weapons signatures extensively. Did you think we'd come unprepared? This is your only warning. Withdraw your targeting lock, or we will defend ourselves." Zexlor's scales flushed with rage. "You dare threaten the Accord? Fire all secondary batteries. Destroy that insult to proper engineering." The Eternal Dawn's crystal spires blazed as energy weapons unleashed their fury. The human vessel should have been vaporized instantly. Instead, it dove and weaved, its ungainly form displaying impossible agility. Where shots did connect, those strange shields flickered but held. "Admiral," Verma's voice rose in pitch. "They're launching something. Hundreds of small objects." "Debris," Zexlor demanded. "No, they're powered." Verma never finished her sentence as the first microdrone reached the Eternal Dawn's hull. The tiny device attached itself and pulsed, sending electromagnetic chaos through the flagship's systems. Hundreds more followed, each finding a weak point in the crystalline architecture. Alarms blared as systems crashed across the ship. The perfect crystalline technology, pride of the Accord, proved catastrophically vulnerable to crude electromagnetic disruption. "Emergency power," Zexlor roared. "Get those things off my ship." "We can't." Tyrell's fingers danced across his console. "Our systems are compromised. The automatic defenses are. They're fighting each other." Captain Chen's face reappeared on the flickering holoscreen. "Admiral, your ship is disabled. Your secondary vessels are too far to assist." Shall we discuss diplomacy now? Zexlor's mandibles trembled with fury. In 10 minutes, these humans had accomplished what no species had managed in 1,000 cycles. They had humbled the celestial accord. "You cannot comprehend what you've done," he hissed. "The accord will not forget this insult." "No," Chen agreed. "They won't. They'll remember this as the day they learned humanity doesn't bow to bullies, no matter how ancient or powerful." Now about those diplomatic relations. The news spread rapidly across the galaxy. The mighty celestial accord, humbled by a species that had barely reached the stars. Some laughed, some worried, but all agreed on one thing. Humanity had announced its presence in the galactic community not with a whisper, but with an object lesson that would not soon be forgotten. That day, the eternal dawn limped home, its crystal spires dulled with shame, and in its wake, humanity's reputation began to grow, not as conquerors or warriors, but as innovators who could turn any adversary's strength into a weakness. The galaxy had received its first warning. Underestimate humans at your peril. In the aftermath of the Eternal Dawn incident, the Celestial Accord's High Council convened in their crystal citadel orbiting their homeworld. The chamber's perfect acoustics amplified every angry whisper as footage of their flagship's humiliation played on floating displays. Supreme Counselor Vex then rose from his crystalline throne, his scales darkened with rage. One ship, one primitive human vessel dared to challenge us, and now our authority crumbles. Lesser species whisper and laugh. This cannot stand. Fleet Commander Reichel stepped forward, her ceremonial armor still gleaming despite her obvious exhaustion. The humans anticipated our every move. They designed countermeasures specifically for our technology. This was no accident. They planned for conflict. "Then we shall show them true warfare," Vex then declared. "Mobilize the Grand Fleet. We will teach humanity the price of defiance." But humanity had not been idle. As the Accord's crystal ships gathered, Earth's governments united with unprecedented speed. The UN Security Council transformed overnight into the Earth Defense Command, with Captain Sarah Chen promoted to Admiral and given authority to prepare for the coming storm. In orbital shipyards, human vessels underwent radical modifications. Traditional military doctrine was discarded in favor of what became known as Chaos Protocol, a combat philosophy that embraced unpredictability and adaptability above all else. "They expect us to fight conventionally," Admiral Chen addressed the combined Earth fleet from her new flagship, the Unconquered. "They expect us to follow the rules of warfare that have governed this galaxy for millennia. We won't. Every ship in this fleet has been modified to be exactly what the enemy doesn't expect." The Accord struck first, as everyone knew they would. 100 crystal ships emerged from faster-than-light travel near Mars, their formation perfect, their technology refined over thousands of years. They expected to find Earth's fleet arrayed in defense. Instead, they found nothing. Scattered and hiding, Fleet Commander Reichel sneered from her command ship. "Perhaps they've learned wisdom. Advance to the 4th planet. We'll destroy their colonies there and..." "Multiple contacts," her sensor officer shouted. "There, inside our formation." Human ships appeared seemingly from nowhere, their hulls covered in revolutionary metamaterials that had masked them from Accord sensors. They didn't engage at range, as proper naval doctrine demanded. Instead, they plunged straight into the heart of the Accord fleet, turning the elegant formation into chaos. Impossible. Reichel watched in horror as human vessels performed maneuvers that should have torn them apart. Their inertial compensators can't be that good. But they were. Human ships danced between crystal spires, their crews protected by new technologies that allowed them to endure forces that would have killed any Accord species. Where the Accord relied on shields, humans had developed hull materials that absorbed energy and grew stronger. Where the Accord used precise energy weapons, humans responded with clouds of self-replicating nanites that consumed crystal matrices. "They're not fighting ships," Reichel realized too late. "They're fighting infections." The battle for Mars lasted less than an hour. When it ended, 30 Accord ships had been disabled, their crystal technology corrupted beyond repair. The rest retreated, their perfect formations shattered, their confidence broken. "This is Admiral Chen to all Earth forces," Sarah's voice carried across the void. "Phase 1 complete. The enemy now knows we can hurt them. Prepare for Phase 2. We take the fight to their territory." But victory had not come without cost. 5 human ships were destroyed, their crews lost to the void. The survivors honored them not with elaborate ceremonies, but by learning from their sacrifices, adapting their tactics further. On Earth, factories worked overtime producing more of the weapons that had proven effective. Scientists analyzed data from the battle, seeking new weaknesses to exploit. And in high orbit, the Unconquered's crew prepared for their next mission, one that would take them deep into Accord space. "They think they know what we're capable of now," Chen told her command staff. "They're wrong. We've shown them our defensive capabilities. Now it's time to show them why humans don't start fights, but we do finish them." The galaxy watched with growing fascination as humanity revealed itself not as a species of great power, but as one of endless adaptation. The Accord had spent millennia perfecting their technology. Humans spent each day reinventing theirs. In the Crystal Citadel, Supreme Counselor Vex then received the battle reports with growing dread. The humans hadn't just defeated his ships, they had done so in a way that made the Accord's greatest strengths meaningless. Worse, spies reported that Earth's production facilities were operating at full capacity, creating weapons specifically designed to counter Accord technology. "They're not just fighting us," he realized. "They're evolving faster than we can adapt. And they're not doing it over generations. They're doing it between battles." The stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of warfare. The Accord had perfection. Humanity had chaos. And in the void between stars, chaos was about to prove far more powerful than perfection had ever dreamed possible. The Unconquered drifted silently through the darkness of Accord space, its adaptive hull absorbing both light and sensor waves. In her command chair, Admiral Chen studied the tactical display, showing a sight many had thought impossible. The Accord's mighty border fleets in disarray. "Third Fleet is reporting success," Commander Jackson announced, his dark eyes gleaming. "The crystalline defense platforms around Nexus 7 have been completely subverted. Our virus has spread through their entire network." Chen nodded, remembering how this phase of the war began. Humanity hadn't just brought new weapons to the battlefield, they'd brought new ideas. The Accord's technological perfection had become their greatest weakness. Their standardized systems, unchanged for centuries, proved catastrophically vulnerable to digital warfare. But something unexpected had emerged from the chaos of war. The Unconquered sensors detected an approaching vessel, not crystalline like the Accord ships, but biomechanical. A Sgreth ship, belonging to a species long subjugated by the Accord. "They're hailing us," Jackson reported. "Text only, encrypted using our own algorithms. The Accord's prisoners are learning." Chen smiled. "Put it on screen." The message was simple. "We've watched. We've learned. We want to help." The Sgreth weren't alone. As humanity pushed deeper into Accord space, other species began to emerge from the shadows. The Engtheri, with their quantum consciousness technology. The Varl, masters of gravitational manipulation. All had been forced to suppress their innovations under Accord rule, forced to adopt crystalline technology that wasn't suited to their natural abilities. In her private quarters later, Chen met with Kittel, the Sgreth representative. The alien's biomechanical body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns as they spoke. "Your species fights like the storms of our homeworld," Kittel observed. "Chaotic, unpredictable, yet with hidden patterns that only become clear after the damage is done." "We've had practice," Chen replied. "Earth's history is full of smaller powers defeating larger ones through adaptation and unconventional thinking. The Accord fears you." Kittel's patterns shifted to deeper blues. "Not for your weapons, but for your ideas. You show others that perfection is stagnation, that diversity breeds strength. The alliance that formed in the following weeks stunned the galaxy. Each species brought their suppressed technologies and unique perspectives to the fight. The Skrith's living ships could heal and evolve mid-battle. The Enxtheri's quantum networks could coordinate entire fleets with impossible precision. The Varl's gravity weapons could tear apart crystal ships without firing a shot. But it was humanity's gift for integration and improvisation that turned these separate advantages into an unstoppable force. Human engineers worked with Skrith biologists to create hybrid technologies. Human tacticians combined Enxtheri quantum strategies with Varl gravitational attacks in ways none had imagined possible. The Accord's response was predictable. They sent larger fleets, more perfect formations, more refined versions of the same crystalline technology. They couldn't comprehend that every defeat made their enemies stronger, as the Alliance learned, adapted, and evolved. They still don't understand, Chen told her mixed species command staff as they prepared for the final push. They think technology alone wins wars. They've forgotten that diversity, creativity, and the freedom to innovate are the real sources of strength. The battle for the Accord's homeworld began not with a massive fleet engagement, but with a virus, a human-designed program, carried by Skrith biological transmitters, propagated through the crystalline defense network. Enxtheri quantum processors analyzed the chaos, identifying weaknesses. Varl gravity manipulators created corridors through the seemingly impenetrable defenses. And then came the human ships, leading a fleet that represented everything the Accord had tried to suppress. Biological ships flew alongside mechanical ones. Quantum weapons fired in concert with gravitational attacks. Each species fought according to their nature, their strengths amplified by cooperation rather than suppressed by standardization. In the Crystal Citadel, Supreme Counselor Vex then watched his perfect society crumble. How? He demanded of his advisors. How can such disorder prevail against perfection? The answer came not from his counselors, but from a young Accord scientist who had been studying human history. Because disorder is how the universe evolves, she said. We sought to impose perfection, but in doing so, we stopped growing. Humans reminded the galaxy that imperfection, the freedom to fail, learn, and adapt, is the only path to true advancement. As the combined fleet surrounded the Citadel, Admiral Chen prepared not for a final battle, but for a moment that would reshape galactic society. The Accord would survive, but it would have to change. The age of enforced perfection was over. The age of innovation had begun. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly the point. As Chen often said, the only constant in the universe is change. Those who resist it break. Those who embrace it thrive. Humanity had not just won a war. They had sparked a revolution in how species viewed progress itself. The Crystal Citadel, once a symbol of Accord supremacy, now served as the meeting place for an unprecedented gathering. Representatives from dozens of species filled the chamber, their diverse forms a stark contrast to its rigid geometric perfection. At the center, Admiral Chen stood beside Kital of the Skrith, facing the remnants of the Accord's High Council. Supreme Counselor Vex then had been replaced by Mirthal, a younger leader who recognized the winds of change. But not all Accord leaders shared her vision. Commander Zurek, his scales dark with fury, rose to speak. We cannot abandon 10,000 years of tradition. He protested. These primitives and their allies would have us throw away everything that makes us great. And what has that greatness cost us? Mirthal countered. Our rigidity made us vulnerable. Our pride blinded us to innovation. Look around this chamber. Every species here has something unique to offer, something we try to suppress in our quest for standardization. In the weeks following the Accord's military defeat, a deeper battle had begun. The crystal ships were grounded, their technology proven too vulnerable to continue using in its pure form. But centuries of believing in their own superiority had left deep scars in Accord society. Rebellion sparked in distant colonies. Hardline military commanders refused to accept the new reality, gathering their forces in the outer systems. The galaxy teetered on the brink of chaos, exactly what the Accord had always feared most. "Your victory may doom us all," Zurek warned Chen after one particularly heated session. "Already, pirates and outlaws exploit the destruction of order. Without our fleets to maintain peace, who will protect commerce? Who will prevent conflict between species?" "Protection through oppression isn't peace," Chen replied. "It's just delayed violence. Real stability comes from cooperation, from everyone having a stake in maintaining order." She was proven right in unexpected ways. When pirates attacked an Accord colony, they found themselves facing not just human ships, but a combined response force. Skreth living ships detected their approach. Anx-Theory quantum networks coordinated the defense. Varl gravity weapons disabled their vessels. And human marines, working alongside reformed Accord security forces, conducted the boarding actions. The success of this joint operation became a model for a new kind of galactic security. Instead of imposed order from above, species began forming mutual defense pacts. Trade flourished as merchants adopted hybrid technologies, combining the best aspects of different technical approaches. But the greatest changes happened in research and development. The Accord's crystal laboratories, once focused solely on refining existing technology, now hosted scientists from all species. Human chaos theory merged with Accord precision engineering. Skreth biological systems enhanced crystalline computers. Each breakthrough led to 3 more as artificial barriers between technologies crumbled. "We were wrong about disorder," Mirthal admitted to Chen during a private meeting. "We saw it as a threat to civilization. Now we understand it's the source of all progress." Yet challenges remained. Zurek and his followers had gathered significant forces in the outer systems. Reports suggested they were attempting to recreate pure Accord technology, free from foreign influence. More worryingly, they had begun approaching other conservative factions throughout the galaxy, promoting a return to the old ways. "They're afraid," Kital observed, their bioluminescent patterns shifting thoughtfully, not of defeat, but of irrelevance. Their entire identity was built on being the perfect society. Now they must learn to be something else. The crisis came to a head when Zurek's faction launched a desperate attack on the Citadel itself. They expected to face a weakened, disorganized defense. Instead, they found themselves confronting the full power of cooperation. Their pure crystal ships, perfect but unchanged, shattered against defenses that combine multiple species technologies in ways they couldn't predict or counter. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, Zurek stood in custody before a mixed tribunal. His expression shifted from rage to bewilderment as he watched former enemies working seamlessly together, their differences becoming strengths rather than weaknesses. "I don't understand," he finally said. "How can you function without perfect order? Without standardization? Without control?" "Because chaos isn't the opposite of order," Chen explained. "It's the process by which new forms of order emerge. Life itself evolved through chaos and adaptation, not through enforced perfection." As Zurek was led away, Mirthal turned to the assembled representatives. "For too long, we tried to impose our version of perfection on the galaxy. We forgot that true strength comes from diversity, from the clash of ideas, from the freedom to try and fail and try again." The gallery erupted in agreement, dozens of species adding their voices to a new chorus. The age of enforced harmony was over. A messier, more vibrant era had begun, one where progress came not from the top down, but from the endless dance of competition and cooperation, of tradition and innovation, of order and chaos in perfect balance. 5 years after the fall of the old Accord, the galaxy had transformed in ways few could have predicted. The Crystal Citadel, once a monument to rigid perfection, now housed the Galactic Cooperative, its halls filled with representatives from hundreds of species. Its very architecture had changed, incorporating living Skreth structures, Varl gravity fountains, and human-designed adaptive materials. Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's representative to the cooperative, stood at a viewport watching ships move through the system. Each vessel told a story of change. Hybrid designs that combined multiple species technologies, crews made up of former enemies working together, trade routes that had never existed under the old order. Remarkable, isn't it? Murthal joined her at the window. The former Accord leader had aged visibly, the stress of transition evident in her scaled features. My ancestors would be horrified. They believed chaos would destroy civilization. Instead, it saved us. Chaos was never the enemy, Chen replied. The real threat was stagnation. A system that can't adapt is destined to fail. Their conversation was interrupted by K'tl, the Skreth's patterns pulsing with excitement. The first graduates of the Combined Sciences Academy are ready for their presentation. You won't want to miss this. In the Citadel's Grand Hall, young scientists from 24 species had gathered. Their project demonstrations showed how far things had come. A human Accord team presented a new form of adaptive crystal technology that could heal itself like living tissue. Skreth and X-Theory researchers had created a biological quantum computer that revolutionized space navigation. Varl engineers working with human chaos theorists had developed gravity drives that were twice as efficient as anything previously known. This is what we feared. Former Commander Zurek spoke softly from his observer's position. After years in rehabilitation, he had begun to understand what his society had lost in its pursuit of perfection. All this potential, locked away because we couldn't accept change. But the path hadn't been easy. The gathered leaders still remembered the challenges. Trade disruptions as economies adjusted, cultural clashes as species learned to work together, technical disasters when incompatible technologies were combined too hastily. Yet each crisis had made them stronger, teaching lessons that perfect order never could. The Accord taught us that strength comes from unity. Murthal addressed the gathering. We were wrong. True strength comes from diversity, from the courage to embrace new ideas, from the wisdom to learn from failure. Chen added her own thoughts. Humanity didn't win the war because we were stronger or more advanced. We won because we never stopped learning, never stopped adapting. Now the galaxy is learning the same lesson. The evidence was everywhere. The combined fleet that had once fought the Accord now served as a peacekeeping force, its ships incorporating technologies from all member species. Trade flourished along routes that adaptive AI networks adjusted in real time to maximize efficiency. Research breakthroughs were shared freely, each discovery building on the insights of multiple cultures. Even the former Accord hardliners had found a place in the new order. Their expertise in crystal engineering, freed from the constraints of tradition, led to innovations they had never imagined possible. Many now served as teachers, helping young scientists understand how to combine the best of old and new. We thought humans were primitives, Zurek mused, watching a demonstration of new shield technology that combined crystalline precision with biological adaptability. Instead, they showed us what we have forgotten. That progress comes from chaos, that strength comes from difference, that perfection is not an end state, but a journey. As the presentations concluded, Chen found herself in the Citadel's garden, a space that embodied the new philosophy. Crystal trees grew alongside earth plants, and Skreth biosculptures, their branches intertwining in beautiful chaos. X-Theory quantum fields made patterns in the air, while Varl gravity artists shaped floating pools of water into impossible forms. What happens now? The young Accord scientist asked her. How do we know we're on the right path? Chen smiled. We don't. That's the point. The future isn't something you can plan or control. It's something you have to face with curiosity, courage, and the willingness to learn from everyone around you. The galaxy had learned humanity's greatest lesson. That strength lies not in achieving perfection, but in the endless journey of growth and adaptation. The age of enforced order was over. The age of infinite possibility had begun. And among the stars, countless species looked toward the future not with fear of chaos, but with excitement for what they might become together. The warning to the galaxy had transformed into an invitation. Come learn, grow, and evolve with us. The only price was the courage to embrace change itself.